Imagine this. You are sitting in class preparing for that final exam. You've read the textbook, you've studied the slides, you've been going to the office hours forever. You know what you're doing. Now, the test is still a little hard, but you kind of know the format, right? You know how the questions are going to be, how many questions there are. You know the grading rubric. You kind of got it set in stone. You know what you're doing. But compare it to game day. You practice, you visualize, you watch all the film you can, but then that whistle blows, and in those first 5 minutes, you realize, once again, it's not just you, it's the opponent, it's the environment, and no guarantees, no study guide, no answer key. It's just you and your performance. This episode is about why sports, our performance, and life are going to be a lot harder than the classroom and how we are going to elevate our game in all of the above so we can train our mind to thrive in the unknown. Hey y'all, welcome to the Mental Performance Playbook. We are breaking down elite mental strategies and delivering them in these actionable exercises that we can go and apply immediately right away into practice as soon as we're stepping back onto the court, onto the track, onto the field, you name it. I'm Gabe Brummel, mental performance coach, founder of The Athlete's Health, and creator of its online Pronoic gym and all of our exercises here where we train our mind just like we train our body. Now, each week in this mental performance playbook, we're just giving out some free content focusing on a mental performance theme that is going to equip the athletes, help the coaches coach, help the parents parent, these practical tools, these practical ways to build some stronger focus, resilience, confidence in what we are doing and going through it. Now, this week's theme specifically is performing in the unknown. Okay, why sports are going to be maybe a little bit harder than school. It's all around this frame that we cannot cram for this pressure. We are going to be talking about mental exercises when there is no answer key. So without further ado, let's dive deep into performing in the unknown. And I want us to start with just thinking about this concept here. This is an answerless test. Okay, we are embracing uncertainty as the standard. Think about that a second. What if not knowing was actually the ultimate training ground? An answerless test. We're going to take a test day in, day out, and don't know if we are going to have the correct answer to it. That is crazy. A player that I was knowing, that I've studied, prepped all week for a championship, right? All week. In those first 5 minutes, everything fell apart. See, this is what I was getting into just in that opening, just a tiny bit with the 5 minutes, but I jumped the gun there. I didn't want to get into it yet. The moment, what they were preparing for, practicing for, was not what they expected. And the thing is, the difference from that and maybe one of those tests that we do have in school or anything else where it's not what we're kind of noticing, well, the next time we can tell our buddy to take the test first and they'll give us a little bit of the rundown, right? But in this case, we can't have that. Each time, it is a new game. We do not know what is going to happen. We can study and we can work on it. We can prepare. But ultimately, when that clock starts, we don't know. But what we can do is adapt. We can lead the team still, find that victory through other ways, and keep going through it as the clock keeps counting down or counting up, or we get through the rounds. And this is what I want us to focus on. There's going to be chaos. So this exercise is the chaos rehearsal. It's not like we study this, get the learning objectives, and go from there and see what's on the test, take our memory, and apply it there. We study, take the learning objectives, check out the game, check out the opponent, scout them out, go out there, we do it. Now, things might not happen of what we thought, but we have to keep doing it. We have to keep going no matter what. So we're going to take this back to practice, actually, and we're going to stimulate some variables. It could be late ref calls. It could be crowd noises. It could be missed plays, missed opportunities. We want to get these going in our practice so we can mentally prepare for them when the game comes, because something is probably going to happen. And a lot of good coaches out here are going to throw this stuff in at practice. What if this happens? What if that happens? Last 5 seconds, what are we going to do, right? We see all this stuff. If we're golfing and we have to go through some bad weather or in the rough, we're going to play through that. We're not going to be at the driving range the whole time, right? We're going to be getting through it. After we do that, we can think about kind of the 3 worst outcomes that we're going to have going on, right? The 3 worst ones, and mentally walk through how we're going to respond. how we're going to stay control through this. This does not need us to be on the field, at the turf, in the practice area. We can do this on the car ride home. We can do this at home if we don't want to separate ourselves from what we're doing. If it's just eating at us and we want to keep getting it, keep learning it, keep studying it. This is an easy way of the 3 worst case unknowns, 3 things that we have seen happen in the past, how we can try and not have that happen, but also how we can totally prepare for it when it does come. And with that, when we're going through all this stuff, knowing that who knows what can happen, I want us to think about this one phrase: response over outcome every time. We do not need to worry about the outcome. We don't need to worry about the test, what grade we're going to get on the test, but rather our response to the questions, how we're going to handle it, how we are preparing for if this happens, if that happens, these if-then situational planning. We control it every time. If we stop trying to control the uncontrollables and focus on our preparation to what we can respond to, we give ourselves a much better chance for success, just because now we are looking at the things that will help us out, looking at the things that we can get ready for, and hopefully working on some of these answers to this answerless test, right? Embracing that uncertainty as the standard. Our tip number 1 for our first kind of pregame, to add that exercise in it. Moving on to number 2, we got to use this forget the formula idea, and we really want to play without a map, right? When we're doing school and we're doing the tests, we have the study guides and we have everything else to follow through. I was just talking to some high schoolers today, of a subbing during the day, and they're like, yeah, sometimes I don't study for this at all. I see the study guide right before, I memorize the answers to it, and that's what the exam is, and it works for me. And I'm like, wow, not that hard, is it? No. But then if I think back to our games, we can practice all we want for it, we can prepare all we want for it, but as soon as that clock starts, the whistle blows, we have to stay present, especially when the script is ripped. How do you stay present when that script gets ripped up? And it can get ripped up real fast. In the instance I showed of in the high school academic setting, they know the script is not going to get ripped up. They know the script is exactly how it's going to be presented to them with no change ups. So they don't have to do much beforehand, and it is not as much pressure on them, right? Harder classes might not be the same, but for some of those classes, that is how it goes. And that is what we are working on here in the sports setting. We know we're going to have to use this exercise of a scriptless set. We're going to go through those sets when it is going to be things that we did not script out at all. And it's how we can use these action steps to level it up and make sure we can play at our best here. So let's walk through some scenarios. We got to run practice reps with no plan. Little controversy here, little thing out there, but coaches don't always call the plays. Athletes have to self-direct. We have to get that leadership, that confidence. I was just working with a team where we wanted to talk about the leadership more. And great coach, by the way. Any coach that I've worked with thus far, great coach, because they're the early adapters into our service, helping us get into more one-on-one work with athletes as well. But in the team setting, we have to know that sometimes there's not going to be a plan, and the athletes have to go off of their instinct that is stimulated from the prep. So in that mental side, if we are trying to do these scriptless sets to add on to our physical stuff, we can know that we can actually practice things that are scriptless. Go out there, try it. There's a lot of instances where coaches are going out there and they're like, hey, just try that out. Well, why are we doing this? Have we ever thought about it? Now we know. Athletes, if we haven't really thought about, figure it out yourself. Why are we doing that? For when we get in those game moments and we need to take the leadership, we need to act on it. That is what, we can do. Now, let's go off of that. What do we do after it happens? Gotta get some journal, and it's not just journaling to because we're all sad and anything. It's journaling to reflect, journaling to reward ourselves. Reflection breeds the reward. And it's, what did I feel? How did I lead? Where was my mind going? How could I take this a different way? What little aspects could I change? Right? As soon as we're doing that performance, even in practice, have performing practice, we reflect on it and we reward ourselves. We keep leveling it up by doing that. The elite athletes can pivot mid-play. This is from the training that they have of adaptability under pressure. It's from all the times that they have put in the work and all the times they've had to change it up, but they've worked on their weaknesses. So when they do need to change it up, that weakness is not a weakness, right? And just one thing to add on here, right? I don't always like to sell the how, I like to just sell what we're doing to get better. But let's put a little bit of a little mental cliche stuff behind it. Pair some breathing with this, all right? It can help reduce the cognitive overload. I know I'm throwing a scriptless set on you. Like, I gotta think about not thinking now. Like, how am I doing this? I'm going into exam blind. What is this? I don't know. Get some breathing in there to just calm it down, calm the body down. Literally, it'll kind of blow out all the stress and you reset. And that's what we go. The box breathing is super common. That's one aspect that we can take of this. But there's many, 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 many different aspects we can take with this and to make sure we're using these scriptless sets so we do forget the formula in instances. And when we are off the grid and there is no map, we can still play without that map, right? Hey, I just wanted to take a second to say thank you for tuning into the Mental Performance Playbook. I love bringing you these mental exercises and strategies each week, and I am excited to help you out even farther. If you are ready to level up as a TAH Titan, train your mind like you train your body, check out our Phrenomic Gym. It's our online mental gym built under the Athlete's Health brand. Inside, you're going to find structured mental drills, training tools, exclusive content, program progressions designed to help you level up and strengthen your clarity, confidence, and composure. So whether you're an athlete, coach, parent, looking to help out your athletes, looking to build that mental edge, the Phrenomic Gym has what you need to level up. Head on over to www.theathleteshealth.com to take your free mental strengths finder and become a TAH Titan today. Let's get back to the show. Now we're moving more so to game day. And this was kind of our number 3 topic here. But is game day a test day? No. It's a performance day. Now, let me kind of explain this to you, and I want to open it up with a question. Do you still treat competition like a quiz? Sometimes I find myself in that framework, in that setting of how this competition is like a quiz. I'm going to do it, see what happens, get back to it. No, game day isn't a test day. It is a performance day. A test day, you're told what's going to be on it. If it's a pop quiz, no, we're talking a little bit different. But performance day and test day are different. And let's unpack it. I want to talk about this performer's mindset shift. And this is where I'm coming from. There is no grade today, okay? It's only growth. And that one way that we can look at this. You do your test, you do your quiz, you get 8 out of 10, or you get 6 out of 10 and you get a D, or you don't even know what you're doing and you get 4 out of 10. Maybe you do ace it, you get 9 or 10 out of 10. That is pretty good. In our performance, there are so many little plays that happen within the big plays, within the whole game, within the whole series, that if we are giving ourselves a grade, now maybe this is your team culture and that's what you're doing. I don't want to mess with that. Or if we're going home and we're like, I played like an F today, I failed that game. No grade for the day. It's only growth. And we can write this down. We can remind ourselves this before the game starts. And this is what I want us to think about, because we're reframing this now. We're putting a little different perspective in our head that this is not a test of what we know, okay? We already talked about variables and things we can control, what we can't control. We go into a test in school and we're going over the things we should have been studied, things we should have been taught. If not, I don't know what that teacher's doing, right? But in our performance, it's not just what we know. It's not just what we can do, right? This mental side is something else. This is a performance and it reveals who we are under pressure. And now you're talking something else, because that test, right? If you don't study to handle the pressure, well, you might just forget some of the stuff. And now we're talking a little bit more performance because you got to perform on your test for the academic side. But in our game day, so many different variables that can happen. Your test, chew the same piece of gum, take the same drink of water, have the same breakfast, have the same stimulant, whatever we need, go into the same area, practice in the area before. All the things can come, and the only thing you don't know is the specific question on that test, but you've had practice quizzes before it, so you know. But on this game day, you study it, you get prepared for it, but you go out there, clock hits 0. So many unknowns, and you can just do what you can do. You can keep going, and you really do reveal who you are under the fire. We can say something like, here to express, not impress. Ooh, look at that play on words. Here to express, not impress. I always call this you're a performing art, you know. You got something special. I believe everyone does. Whether it's you're on the court or you're a teammate on the bench, there's something special there that you can be expressing, and you don't have to impress the whole time. As soon as we put that impress away and we just take out the express, we put off so much more of that pressure that we're feeling under the fire, so we can just play at our best, play with the instinct, right? That intuition that we have. In the academia, it rewards for knowing, okay? You know it or you don't, or you memorize it or you don't. But in the performance setting, especially in our athletics, it rewards doing it under all the unknowns that are coming our way. And that is ultimately why I want to make sure we know that game day does not equal test day. It is a performance day. Game day equals performance day and everything else that comes with. Last thing I want to talk about here is time expiring, that heart beating, and us training for those final moments. When that clock hits 0, can you deliver? Can you do what you've been working to do, training to do, working, planning, preparing to do? When that clock hits 00 or there's nowhere else to go, we ran out of room. 0 on the clock. This is a drill that we can use. We can put this in anything because it is really going to stimulate the mental side. And, you know, a lot of coaches are going to throw this in. If we're a solo athlete training by ourselves, visualize this, think about this while we're going through our reps. Maybe don't just shoot, pass, dribble, swing. Take a pause or two through it. Make it more game-like. Make it feel like it is the last seconds. 0 seconds on the clock. Make this a drill. Whatever practice we're doing, okay, 1 or 2 reps at the end, make everything on the line for it. Now, you can't really do this for school, right? I mean, you might mess up an exam depending on what level we're at. We just retake it. You can just retake it sometimes. Or maybe the next one we know is just going to make it better. No, in our games, that game might cost us and we don't have a next one. We don't get to play them again, right? We have to make sure we end that with the best that we can, even if everything is on the line. Use simple countdowns to stimulate that pressure. I know sometimes we like to shoot at the buzzer or we think 3, 2, 1 and we shoot, or we pick the pass, or we play the defense, get the last swing in, whatever. Actually use that. Don't joke around with it and use it as a part that stimulates us, gets us ready for that game. Not even just on the offensive side, because every sport kind of has your offensive side, your defensive side, your quicker time, your rest and decompress time, even if it's only for a second. Stimulate all those when we're doing these last seconds things to get clock down to 0 with that heart beating, right? Stimulate that as well for these final moments. And make sure, once again, we think back about this. We reflect on it. Use some post-rep reflect happen of what kind of carried us through it. Were we more panicking? Would we panic if we were actually in the situation? Or are we prepared? Are we preparing? If we get in that situation, is this going to help us, right? This repetition, this continuous reps under these perceived final moments really does build that poise for those real moments, really does help us out when we get there. And it's not just 3, 2, 1, it's let's get that heart rate up, right? I'm reiterating that just one more time so we fully know that this is the last piece to separate the academic from academic, however we want to say it, from the actual performance. Sometimes on that test, the clock is counting down and we do have to finish. And that does get a little stressful, right? And we might put that in. Sometimes we don't practice that. So this is why this is the last one, because it can possibly be the closest to our actual performance, because the clock is going to end at some point and we need to train for the final moments, right? Except sometimes, at least how I perceive it with people I talk to, there might be more pressure on that game, those last seconds, than that test. But also, this is why I saved this for last, with the time expiring, that heart beating, training for those final moments. Because on those tests, if we took a little while to figure out some problems, we might be rushing through it at the end and that clock is counting down. So hopefully we can prepare for that, put 5 minutes on the clock, get through what we need to get through in practice, so then we can perform at our best ability. I just want to end us with this, that we study for a test, okay? We can study for a test. Teacher might throw some random stuff at us, but ultimately, if we study right, if we know how to study, we will kind of know what's out there. In our game, there's so many more variables that we can't control, that we cannot study for, but we can train for it. All right, don't twist my words. We can still prepare to our ability on it. I want us to know that this episode reminds us that real performance, it's not just a syllabus, right? It's not just what the teacher's telling us at the beginning of the season. It's from uncertainty. It's from variables. It's from pressure, and that is ultimately the hardships that produce the gold or the diamond, which I always tell teams and athletes, that make us who we can be, that make us shine at the end, right? The ones that are training for all these unknowns, under all this pressure, under all these things that we can't always control, but we were working on to the best of our ability, are the ones who are going to rise to the moment. And that is why they're shining. So let's let go of the script. Let's embrace the chaos a little bit and build that mental flexibility that's going to win when that buzzer sounds, instead of the preparing for the small study guide, the things that we need, that we know, we got to get going. And then ultimately it doesn't happen. And we flip our stuff out there and we just lose everything, lose composure, lose our confidence because a couple things changed our way and we don't know how to do it. The teams that bounce back are the ones that can stay calm, the ones that handle that pressure and move it forward. Talked about cramming here. Okay. We always cram for exams, or at least a lot of people do. I saw a lot of people cramming to get some things assigned today while I was at school. But we can't cram for this pressure of our performance. That's why hopefully walking through these 4 categories and exercises you can apply right away at practice. Maybe you will put them in academia too, when in our practice, there's no real answer key. So these mental exercises help us handle them when they come. And if you are ready to train your mind to thrive when you don't know where the answers are, join us inside the mental gym, the Fronoic gym. We're turning these unknowns into your advantages with these drills, these workouts, these progressions that we have, live coaching to level up your mental game. So head over to www.theathleteshealth.com and check it out. Contact me. Otherwise, keep leveling up your game. Catch you next week on the Mental Performance Playbook.